Hello, everybody. Once again, welcome to the Learn Dota 2 League. I am Anani, and this is Randy,
Hello.
and this is. I realized last game we forgot to introduce ourselves. Oops. Well, you know who we are by
Sorry.
now. Uh, this is Tupac versus Panic at the Rosh Pit, Game 2.
Yep.
Last time in Game 1. Well, by the way, we left this ban on the board. This is not live. We left this ban on the board just to make sure this is indeed Game 2, and it's Ember Spear on the first ban. Last time, Tupac kind of crumbled in the face of Panic's very offensive and pressure-focused strategy. This time, maybe we'll see a different play from Tupac to try and deal with it, or perhaps maybe we'll see a different play from Panic to try and keep their advantage. What do you think?
Maybe. We'll see. See what goes on with the picks.
We'll see indeed. So, kicking off here. And by the way, this is a replay. We did not see this live because we cannot be in two places at once. Just a reminder. Well, I mean, I can, but Randy can.
That's true.
And Ocelot certainly can because he still hasn't gotten back ever since we left him in Las Vegas at the end of the live cast, so.
Yeah.
Got a first ban for Wyvern once again. The Wyvern ban.
Maybe they just don't like Wyvern.
Yeah, it's certainly, given the way that Panic at the Rosh Pit plays, Wyvern is a major hero to counter that sort of strategy, so keeping her out of the pool is an important factor here. Okay, I'm starting to become worried maybe this is the same game, so because it's the exact same pool of bans so far. Hopefully it's not, and I'm not an idiot. I don't think it is, because I'm pretty sure Panic got the first ban last time.
Yeah,
you know how
I'm
it
pretty
goes.
sure it's not.
5 seconds remaining.
I think Panic has a certainly has the advantage here in the banning part of this because Tupac.
It's lifesteal instead of Dawnbreaker, so.
Okay. Tupac knows what they need to do, and
they're just
Panic.
gonna take that Viper from him.
Yeah. Tupac knows what they need to do, and Panic knows that as well. Panic knows exactly what Tupac's going to be trying this game, theoretically anyway, so they're going to have a bit of an advantage here, and I think, in predicting good bans. And indeed, as he said, first pick on that Viper. That's a very ballsy first pick. It's just as ballsy for Tupac as it was for Panic at the Rosh Pit. Tupac never really countered the Viper pick, to be frank with you. They never really picked up somebody who would be particularly great at dealing with them, especially in the early. So it'll be interesting to see if, perhaps Panic at the Rosh Pit, either knows the stakes and does it themselves, or perhaps they fall into the same trap. Got the first pick, the exact same once again on Panic. Dark Willow once again.
Running it back.
You know what's interesting is Boss, the captain of Panic at the Rosh Pit, has a Marcy avatar on Discord and all that. Has not picked Marcy so far in this tournament. Oh yeah, that's right. She's not there yet, is she? All right. Well, that explains it. Sorry about my Alzheimer's, everybody. Notably, I feel like Panic are kind of going into Slardar. Now Slardar is an interesting guy for the Panic at the Rosh Pit style of gameplay. Slardar is a hard guy to stop once he gets some momentum, but he's a very momentum-focused hero. If Slardar is winning, he can keep you winning. If Slardar is losing, he really can't help turn it around for you. It's a very interesting hero in that way. What do you think?
I like it. I like the, again, the combo with the Willow, another AoE stun for Willow to play with.
Shadow Shaman says, no, go away.
Right.
He's basically here so he can put wards down whenever he wants to make sure to set up a zone that Panic at the Rosh Pit can't fight in. I think he's a pretty good hero in a very specific niche like that. And I think it's a very specific niche that Tupac could definitely take a lot of advantage of.
And he has an insta-hex, so if Slardar blinks in and gets caught by it, it's never good.
Right. Maybe the biggest thing here is that if Shadowman's going to be their pause 5, I feel like he's going to have a better lane performance than Grimstroke did.
Yep.
Tinker and Sniper going down. We're just eliminating all the Canes. Statistically, next is going to be Clockwork.
Yeah, you'd think.
Could be Alchemist as well, you know. In all seriousness, I will say Panic at the Rosh Pit definitely knows. They've definitely had experience with what sort of heroes their team doesn't work well against. And notably, you see a very similar rogues gallery this time of guys they just don't want to fight.
Yep.
You know, Winter Wyvern can just turn every bit of farm you have into just pain against you. Lifestealer can just hit Q and walk away casually, or hit Q and walk in and kill you sometimes, and then walk away casually. You know, Sniper can just stand way far away from the rest of his comp and just pick you off as you're trying to roll through people. So it's no surprise, no surprise bans here for Panic so far.
They ban out the Lina. Lina matches up very well against Shaman. It matches up okay against Viper with a few. It depends, I guess, is the best way I could put it.
Looks like Panic does not want to see that PL again. They knew.
Ban on PL.
Yeah, they knew in the last round that PL was the chance that Tupac had. They want to take that chance away from them this time.
5 seconds remaining.
Draw Ranger, another person who can mess up both of these guys.
I feel like Drow Ranger is a better hero. I feel like Drow Ranger would actually be better as a pick for Tupac than as a ban for Tupac. She's very good at sort of turning around heroes that make these big, grand entrances and like to spend a lot of time in a similar spot in team fights. And, you know, Slardar moves around a lot, sure, but he's usually moving in a fairly straight line. Willow is going to be in a very similar sort of location, or moving very predictably in fights, and Drow is really good against him, and she's also really good at making people just turn around and walk away in the early game, so I feel like she probably would have been a better pick for them. Slark going down is no surprise, though, because Slark is just another hero that does not fit well with the constant pressure style of gameplay that Panic puts out. You know, has a lot of easy options to deal with it.
Yep.
5 seconds remaining.
Notably, the Panic at the Rosh Pit are picking similar heroes in their ban pool, but not the exact same. They're trying to take some advantage of their sort of foresight here. Their sort of practically guaranteed foresight of what Puck is going to be doing to try and stop them.
Yep.
But they do also have a very specific team comp that almost requires you know, certain heroes to not be present on Tupac, and even if they get away from Tupac this game, that might give them some trouble later on in the tournament.
Running it back with the support duo.
Yep. Willow and Warlock, once again, it is a lot of CC in a very small area. You know, if Willow gets a lot of people in those brambles and Warlock can drop a golem on them, and that's a lot of people really messed up for a long time in a large area.
Yeah.
It's a lot of L's there, and that's what you're going to be taking if 5 people end up in brambles against a lineup like this.
Or if 5 people get feared and run backwards into a slur or crush, plus a Warlock ult.
Yep. You know, the fear is, I think the fear is something that a lot of people don't think about much on Willow, but it is a pretty important part of the pick for her, not just sort of a nice little utility. You can do a lot of things with positioning on Willow, including make them run through the Bramble Maze or just run and do Slardar, as you previously mentioned.
Avenge.
Vengeful Spirit.
Mess up Slardar a little more.
Yep, Vengeful Spirit's a very interesting pick. I feel like part of the Vengeance trying to go with the Viper, trying to act as a steroid for him. Perhaps also as a right-click steroid for whatever the pause 1's going to be.
10 seconds
And part of it is just going to be the ability to try and get people out of fights. I feel like that swap is probably going to be a lot more useful defensively to them than offensively, given Panic's playstyle.
I can agree with that.
Tupac is definitely mulling over the options there. You can definitely tell with how they're using this reserve time that they're putting a lot of thought into this draft between the 5 of them.
Yep.
It's hard to blame them. It's a good sign, though. It's a good sign for Tupac, because it means everybody's coming in. They're taking this very seriously. They want to make absolute sure that history does not repeat itself, which is a lot better than just kind of rolling over. It's, you know, not a good position to be in. Got an
They're also
axe
gonna
right
take
here.
the axe away from them. The
Axe.
axe and the viper on the opposite side.
Yeah. Draft in
10
the enemy lineup.
seconds remaining.
Axe on a more defensive comp here,
5
which
seconds
Tupac
remaining.
might not even be at this point. At this point it's starting to almost look like Tupac wants to use panic strategy right
Radiant
back at
team
them.
battle.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be
Ooh,
hard with Death
gonna
Prophet
complicate
though.
things. Yep. That's very complicated.
That's the danger of trying to flip the script in the most literal degree. That's the danger of trying to use a team's own strategies against them, because the team knows
10
really
seconds
well what
remaining.
works against them, and Death Prophet is a major hero
5
in
seconds
playing against
remaining.
what Panic's own strategy is. That puts Tupac in a
Dire team
very
battle.
hard place. Tupac once again is now thinking that Panic is gonna get themselves a nice little pause one that's gonna take quite a long time to come online, like they did with Spectre. That
Yep.
the 4 guys are going to be holding the line for.
10
Sven going
seconds
down is a
remaining.
sign of that, though. Sven also can fight early, so that it's kind of a win-win there for Tupac as far as the ban goes.
Ursa. They're looking for Medusa?
They might be. That would be quite almost
Dire
funny
team
actually. Medusa comes down to just basically turn the Panic strategy just into a total reverse. All defensive, trying to play the long game, whereas Tupac would be almost forced to try and end early at that point. There's not a lot of
10
carries in this
seconds
pool
remaining.
that Tupac could pull out that would be able to outlast
5
Medusa.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, and you see the Ursa, Slork, and PL.
Radiant
That's 2
team
defusal
pick.
buyers. And 2 people who can just man-fight Medusa. So,
And it looks like Panic is not predicting the anti-mage.
right, that is the one thing.
Right, he's basically the last guy in the pool. I feel like
10 seconds
an anti-mage
remaining.
pick here for Puck could be quite a big thing.
Yeah, Death Prophet
5
and,
seconds remaining.
Willow already. That's 3 int heroes.
Let's see if they can see it. Perhaps this is almost a bait to it as well. Panic is setting up a really nice scenario to put
Dire
anti-mage
team
in,
pick.
but
I'm gonna put the Terrorblade out.
they're gonna put Terrorblade there instead. Terrorblade also a pretty good hero in almost the same role. Terrorblade can easily buy himself a little Diffusal Blade, do pretty much the same thing as anti-mage.
Yep.
They're picking Medusa, or they're thinking of picking Medusa. That might complicate things. He's a pretty good hero against her.
5 seconds remaining.
He's very dangerous, yeah. And can, go toe-to-toe with her late.
Definitely a good pick on Tupac's part, especially they were calling the Medusa pick. It's going to help their existing issue of being very early game dominated. Before Terrorblade, these guys are going to be done at like 35 minutes, and now they got a lot more time on their hands to play with.
Right.
Panic taking all the time in the world to make this last pick. Pretty common to see. It's always hard to tell if the last pick is a pick of great consideration or if the last pick is a pick of...
Just talking over the strategy generally.
Right.
Like, here's what we're gonna do.
You'll see both sometimes. You'll see a lot of thought in that last pick, and you'll see a lot of thought into the overall game ahead of them. I will tell you this, though. If you're going to do the latter, you do still get that time, though you are depriving the enemy of knowing what your last pick is. We do ultimately see the Medusa after all.
Alright.
Got the same positions as the last game, it looks like, on both teams, you can see there. There's nobody
Yep.
who's really, no surprise lineups here. Viper is the 2 on Tupac, though that was probably more or less preordained here. And now we get to sit, we get to wait, we get to think. It's
Very interesting drafts. Again.
Yeah. Tupac definitely has a more clear road to victory here with this draft, I think. I think it's a generally better draft than the last lineup. The one issue that I feel like they have is that they got 5 heroes that don't really go all that great with each other. you know, Call goes really great with Shadow Shaman Serpent Wards, and that's nice, but what else does it go with, you know? Vengeful Spirit has a great ability to pull people into pain with Terrorblade, or pull Terrorblade himself out of the pain, but, you know, who else is she gonna go with, right?
I think X can also play, you know, kind of the classic tank role of forcing people to stop attacking Terrorblade.
Right. But you know, that's a position I think other guys kind of do better than him, and I don't know if
Right.
Panic's going to be quite so forced to go with that. I think they have a pretty good kit for avoiding that sort of issue, so it's going to be interesting. I feel like Puck's got
Prepare for
5
battle.
very good heroes that don't make for a very like 5 good heroes that are really good in the context of going against the Panic lineup. I don't think they make a very comprehensive lineup. They don't have much chemistry. Whereas on the other hand, with Panic's lineup, you have 5 heroes I think are logically like weaker individual picks on paper, though I do think that overall, as a unit, they definitely have a stronger lineup.
Right.
Now that does mean one big thing for Panic here. One very, very big important thing. That super advantage they had early game is going to be quite a lot more subtle this time around. They are not going to be able to get away with the same trick of just being, you know, offense, offense, fight, fight, fight early on, or else they're
Yeah,
just going to
Medusa
get
doesn't
slaughtered.
do that.
Right. Not only does Medusa not do that, the way their composition is, it just doesn't go with that. Everybody needs to be present in early game. You really can't get away with that, especially with Medusa being there. Because, you know, if you try to 1v1 any of those guys, or, you know, 2v2, or any other smaller combination of guys, basically, then Tupac are going to have the big advantage there. They're going to be able to turn that around on you. They're going to be able to mess it up pretty easily.
The
So,
battle begins.
gonna have to be a different game plan for Panic. And, but luckily for them, at the very least, they have the right team to be doing a different strategy. The absolute classic tragedy, the worst thing you could be in the position of, is having to do a different game plan with a similar sort of team comp. You know, if you want to do what they did, but like as far as the draft goes, but go to late game instead of try to end early, then you're gonna have some problems. So they did pick around having a different comp this time. It's gonna be very interesting to see.
Yeah.
Once again, we have this Willow and Slardar down here at bot, trying to put as much pressure as possible on old Decode and the Mighty Midget. Last time, Mighty Midget, to be frank, kind of fell apart in lane phase, but I do think he's going to stand a better chance this time, because he's coming in with the foreknowledge. He's coming in knowing what the other guys do.
Oh boy.
Looking a little messed up
Getting out of here.
Yep. I think he just fresh leveled at it too. Both Terrorblade and Slart are walking away very low HP, only the supports remaining in the lane here.
Brambles
And,
are such a good laning seal. Like, you get hit by them, you're just gonna lose most of your HP, if not die outright.
Right, it gives the other guys a lot of opportunity to do a lot of damage to you. Oh, Willow getting caught here.
TV.
Willow's first blood to Terrorblade. Yeah. That's not a good sign. That's not a good thing to see in the opposing category if you're on Panic. You never, ever, ever want to see a really late guy get first blood. You never want to see a very highly farm-dependent hero get that first blood, because it gives him a significant boost in, you know, it's going to mean he's going to come on earlier. It's going to mean he's going to have an easier time in lane just from the advantage. So, good eye on Decode and Mighty Midget. It's definitely a much better start than this lane had in the last round. They've definitely ironed out some of the issues here.
He ended up getting the value on the meta too, on his first meta, which is very important.
Yep. It's what they call a power spike sort of skill. Speaking of not great news for Panic. Oh, well, it might be great news in a moment here. Axe got very close to being knocked down there. He got a little too close to the sun, but he ultimately walked away.
Axe likes you. Axe will kill you last.
Oh, that's good to hear, Axe, but
that.
I didn't axe. Well, I didn't ask anyway. Boss tries to, as they say, get his heat back on Vengeful Spirit, but finds nothing but pain in response. Terrorblade does not get the kill, but he does get another A in that column. He gets another Another bit of farm there. Slardar wants to make it so that he doesn't, at least doesn't walk away without taking some pain, but Terrorblade's got regen for days. He does not need to care about that in the slightest.
Yeah.
Having a little beef here between Slardar and
Forcing her out of this little area here.
I really wish she didn't make that sound. Completely, just completely knocked me out of what I was trying to say there. Needs to be a much more equivalent matchup as far as the HP bars are going at mid. Let's see if the last hit tells a different story on it. Very interestingly, unlike in the last game, it's not quite the major last hit advantage for Viper. I think Viper was assuming last game the other guy's success came from multiple levels of Nether Toxin. He actually only had one. It was just good at keeping the other guy within it. So
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of a miscalculation as sort of the value here. Though in fairness, Death Prophet is very keen to be staying in that one, but she's a much tankier hero and has a lot more responses to it. So I don't think he's going to be finding the same success as the as Viper did the other round, as Viper did with Panic. Very notably, right below the two mids is Terrorblade, and then coming above Medusa is both the pause 3s.
Yep.
Which is not great for Medusa. You know, Medusa's not getting terribly much farming. She's getting very highly pressured by a lane that is largely just doing what Panic did last round to them. Comrade Chris down here, Warlock, he's just not quite as efficiently able to mess with the pause 3 and 4 as he was last game. He isn't able to just keep them off balance so much.
Yeah, all he can do is kind of punch them.
Oh,
Yeah.
we had another death down here. Mighty Midget went
still-
down to
The old classic Bramble combo, Dark Willow.
Willow.
Oh man.
Willow sticks around and dies. Somehow goes down to a split kill, which is very unfortunate for the Radiant. Still,
Better than nothing, I suppose.
yeah. It's good that Willow got a kill to try and start to turn things around, but it's not so great that Terrorblade got another one without even going down for his trouble. And he's getting sad, so he's just going to be right back to full health.
Yep.
Bet your dollars to donuts if you look at that net worth. Yep, he is at the top of the charts. He is doing great, and that is a very scary thing to see. You know, if you were anybody on the dial, you saw this chart right now, that would be kind of a morale buster. You know, to not even have second place when Terrorblade's at the top, that is that's a tough ladder, you know, it's a tough
It is
ladder
a bit
to climb.
scary. Split farm with his illusions here.
Yep. That's their coach too. It's their coach as well, which means he's probably the guy with the most experience on this lineup as well. So it's their highest quality player, and he's doing the best, and he's in this situation. It's just a lot of disadvantages. Panic is going to have a hard road this game. It's certainly not going to be the stomp that last time was. I can tell you that much already.
Another Bramble attempt here.
Mighty Midget is definitely getting a handle on dealing with that Willow. Oh, a little bit of interest happening here at mid. Notably, even though Viper is outdoing Prophet for money,
Alright.
yep, Venge chooses not to go into that. I believe
I don't
she
think
might have
she
got
chose.
stunned actually.
Yeah.
Goes down. Even though Viper is winning for last hits, Death Prophet is actually winning for XP, which is interesting.
Dire's structures
Right.
are
But
fortified.
not exactly sure how that happened, but you know how it goes. I guess he's just been doing a little bit of AFK farming with Nether Toxin,
Shaman.
perhaps. Shaman
He's
just,
not gonna get in quick enough or at the right angle.
yeah. Not exactly sure what that was. He just kind of casually walked into vision there for him. He's now TPing in. Uh-oh, he wants Terrorblade. Oh wait, no, I'm an idiot. He's on the
No.
same team as Terrorblade. He's trying
He
to
doesn't
protect
want
him.
Terrorblade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Radiant
He
It's
wants
a little
Terrorblade
invis.
to survive.
Okay, it's not in this. Kinda thought she was there.
Once again, apologies for my Alzheimer's, folks.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Slardar
attack.
is going past the tower down here at bot. He's trying to dive for Vengeful Spirit here. If we get some rotation like Viper here. But he was just a little late on that. Slardar was just a little too quick on the draw and getting him, and VS wasn't able to turn around, do anything in time, so Slardar actually gets away scot-free, and Viper just wasted a lot of time coming down here.
Yep, DP is just gonna grill that lead.
And she, I don't believe she was doing better than him, actually, when he left, so as far as net worth goes. Very notably, by the way, Slardar is now at the not the top of the pack here for net worth, having just barely beaten out Terrorblade here at the into lane phase.
Dire are scanning.
Dire looking to see if there's somebody to dive down here, but
It's
Slardar's
not.
hunger will not be sated today.
Radiant's
They
bottom
just seeded
tower
this lane.
is under attack.
Yep.
Don't want anything more to do with it.
Terrorblade can farm wherever the hell he wants to, so I cannot blame him too much for choosing to do it somewhere else. It's
Somewhere safer, yeah.
yeah. Even though he was getting kills, the idea that rotations could start happening, the idea they could be catching up, you know, it's not things you want to be dealing with. Or at least not
Whoa.
necessarily
It's gonna-
things.
Just gonna poke the willow there a little bit.
Viper might do a little more than poke,
Yeah. Could be.
but she's getting out of there.
Could be.
Oh!
And once again, poor Viper just does not have a response to it. I mean, nobody really has a response to Willow going into Shadow Realm and getting out of there. It's just not an easy thing to stop her TPing out,
Yeah.
unless you have like a, you know, a targeted
Underlord.
stun.
Slaughter. Lion mix, something like that.
Right. Or even Enigma if you want to blow Black Hole on it for some reason.
If you have a willow who's like 30-1,
Yeah, if you have a Willow who's 30-1 and Enigma has nothing better to do with his life, then yeah, it's great. So for some reason, it's kind of hard to see Willow going 30-1 against a lineup with an Enigma, but you know, what do I know?
yeah.
You know, Willow looks like he's gonna be wandering
They
into
have
the
a, they have
supports
a death
again.
buffet.
This time,
Just gonna
Shaman
melt them.
friends, and Shaman's just going to get eaten, absolutely destroyed. VS,
Or go for that again.
yep. VS shows up to try and help, but Slardar says absolutely no, doesn't even let her look at the fight, let alone get somewhere close to that.
Dire's top
Yep.
tower is under attack.
DB says I have nothing more to do here, and just goes up to mid to try and get a little casual farm. Plus to let Slardar take the tower, but I find it denied if Shaman gets there in time. Nope,
Radiant's
Shaman did
bottom
not go for
Oh
that
boy,
deny,
he knows
and,
he's there now.
Dire's top
May
tower
have made a
is
bit of a
under attack.
mistake, a bit of a tactical error here in the way of trying to sit here.
Shackles. Yeah, only the warlock coming out.
Doesn't really
Radiant's
matter,
middle
though.
tower
Maybe enough.
is under
Yep.
attack.
Comrade
Dire's
Chris
top
ends up
tower
taking the
is
kill.
under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Thanks, comrade.
Once again, the 2-puck off lane,
Dire's structures
first
are
on their team to get a tower, though both their mid and their bot are going down. Very interesting strategy, a Panic Spark.
Oh boy.
Now this,
Oh, the
that's
the
great
exorcism
timing.
ended at a really good time. Yeah.
Yeah, miracle timing for old Trash Boat there when those ghosts came in. Very interesting strategy on 2-puck's part, not 2-puck's part,
Radiant's
on
bottom
Panic's
tower
part,
is under
that they
attack.
make towers as much of an early game focus, it seems like, as their farm, basically.
Yep.
Though notably this time, looks like you know, the exact same story is taking place here again with Panic's offlane continuing to pressure on that T2, perhaps trying to draw
Dire's
attention
top tower
to
is
it.
under attack.
But notably, the 2-puck offlane this time did the exact same thing.
Yep.
Poor Medusa here. He's, just barely gotten into 4th place with that one wave. Is just having to just kind of hard pressed to do anything here, really.
I don't think it's that much of a disaster because Medusa can farm very fast with little space.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I'm not calling it a disaster by any stretch. It's just not ideal.
Yeah.
Still,
Radiant's middle
the
tower
Radiant
is under
2-puck has
attack.
put a big damper on our ability to get any sort of farm early. They've sort
Yep.
of set their doomsday clock pretty far back as far as it goes. Up, Slardar
Swap.
just sitting right into the middle of hell. Warlock quickly gets the Golem down to try and save him. Isn't quite enough. He goes down, but They take out VS for it.
Radiant's
Doesn't
middle
look like they're
tower
going to get
is
anybody
fortified.
else, so Axe might, because he's going a long way to try and get Willow. But he is way too fast, and he just gets way the hell out of there in no time flat.
Yep, right back to his friends.
Radiant's
Viper and
bottom tower
Shaman
is under
trying to
attack.
go for Willow, but Shaman does not like what he sees, and Back's just right off there. That was a very interesting fight. There were a lot of people who came really close to death, but just straight disengaged. Both teams seem to have much better disengage than actual engage. They're much
Yeah.
better at, both teams are much better at running away from a fight than actually staying and fighting in it, which is very interesting.
Axe Blink online.
Axe Blink is going to be a pretty big deal. He's already a little too fast for Dire to comfortably mess
Smoke
with. So.
down
They want Viper.
into this Viper.
As I said last time, Viper, okay, maybe ghosts weren't necessary for this, necessarily. As I said last time,
Run into the tier 2 with them.
yeah. As I said last time in pick phase for Viper, Viper's biggest weakness is just, you know, he doesn't have a lot of tricks when it comes to defensive,
Dire's
and
middle tower
Trash
is under
Boat,
attack.
perhaps having a little bit of experience on the hero, knew that and just punished him straight up for it. Warlock in quite a bit of trouble here. He is quite a long way from home or his friends, and he just gets completely
hey,
picked and bullied here.
Axe hate
Slaughter. He has a Blink Dagger. He wants to play with it, but no.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Poke this tier 2 a bit.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Force out the glyph.
By the way, if you're wondering, the occasional 1 second pause in audio is not your speakers giving out or anything. That's me making absolute sure that I'm talking, so apologies for that.
Oh boy, Axe.
Hax has gone from the one picking the other guy out and getting bullied, being the bully, to the one getting bullied, and now his friends are paying for it. With the open space, Viper just goes down in seconds flat. He really just is getting hammered by that enemy lineup, and they are not done yet. Though Slardar is almost certainly going to die for it. Yep, dies to those Shaman
boy.
wards, and so does Willow.
Alright.
VS eats a death in the process, but they get quite a few interesting things done there.
Dire's middle tower is
It's,
under attack.
It's not good that they're losing Viper quite as consistently as they are, but it is very good how consistently they're able to punish Panic for turning it around on them. How consistently they're able to deal with Panic forcing down and just running down mid basically, just at them or
I
bot
like
or
the swap.
wherever.
I like the swap into the wards in that fight.
Yeah, it was very good. Got them a free kill and everything. Oh, we got
Another
more
engagement.
combat here. You know, Panic is hungry for it. They're trying to make as much space as possible. This time might not go so well. Sardar's completely caught out. None of them have much mana. Shadow Shaman dies for it, but Axe, he just
he's
doesn't have
silenced.
enough. Axe is dead as hell. Just did not quite have enough strength to him. And did not
And he was
find
silenced.
success.
I think he would have gotten the dunk if he wasn't silenced.
Yep. Viper is in a bit of a fix, but nobody really wants to go for him. Medusa has emerged from farming, now at the second highest net worth. She's emerged from the jungle to take her position.
That DP silence is doing so much work right now.
Radiant's middle tower
Spirit
is under
Siphon is as
attack.
well. I think the DP is really doing most of the damage in these fights, pretty much.
Oh yeah, it was a big pick. The only thing that went wrong in that fight for Dire in particular was they just did not have Exorcism up. They actually called in a Clarity just to have it off cooldown here. Not off
Yep.
cooldown, but ability to be used.
Oh, swap.
DP gets picked off though. Oh, that was a great
no.
fear. A great fear, but Viper gets the strike off, so she might not get away anyway.
She's Evil
As
Zipper.
that drain. Whoa. Whoa, that was very, very close for Death Prophet. Great fear by, oh, we
How
have
are
a
the wards?
great set of wards. Slardar is in jail. Axe is just beating the hell out of him. Medusa comes in with the ult. Shaman is stuck. He's just gone.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Axe managed to die in the backline there. Well, he died in the wards, but
Boy,
nobody
so
died
much
in the
can
backline.
come out of
It's
just
crazy.
going on a Death Prophet.
Dire's top tower is is under attack.
Yeah, Death Prophet, once again, it's easy to notice that this Trash Boat fella, he plays Pause 2 like a Pause 3. He makes himself the guy that the entire enemy team has to focus all around, but yet makes himself so insidiously difficult to kill. And he's doing that really all with playstyle. His items don't really have a lot to do with it. His hero choices do it, at least. The most notable thing there is that Medusa ended up
Radiant's
getting
bottom
some
tower is under attack.
casual gold off of just being around that.
Although
But she might die for it. No,
they don't want that.
I think they got bluffed there. I think they just made the assumption that there were more fellas looking at them on Dire than there actually were.
Eventually.
Radiant are scanning.
Radiant looking at the Rosh Pit thinking that maybe Dire's in there, but
Dyer's top tower is under attack.
no such luck. Willow silenced. Willow in major trouble here. Getting stunned, just goes down. Oh no! Willow might just get out of this after all. Here comes the fear. Axe is just running away again, but Death Prophet finally eating it. Very good play by the supports on both sides there. Terrorblade as well.
This one now.
Terrorblade as well has just emerged. This might not have been the golem, just gave Terrorblade a free 100 gold. Axe comes in, gets a taunt out on Willow, who just casually dies again.
Radiant's bottom tower is
Oh
under
boy.
attack.
Things are looking like they're starting to go a little south, perhaps, for Panic at the Rosh Pit. So we get a Panic at the Rosh Pit, maybe? Nope. They're not actually going to go for that. Deco does not actually want that Rosh. Kind of looked like he might for a second. Yeah,
From the jungle.
the impact that Medusa had when she walked out of the jungle compared to the impact that Terrorblade had when he walked out of the jungle were very noticeably different.
Yep.
You know, Terrorblade walks out of the jungle and suddenly Dire just cracks and falls apart instantly, whereas when Medusa walked out of that jungle, things didn't really change all that much, but Slardar is looking to see maybe if he can turn that fact around. They're making every attempt to get him here, and he might...
blink.
Oh, not
This
not
time.
well timed, yeah. Got the, oh, no! Everything's going wrong for the Dire. Everybody's ulted, basically. Well, but the Fatal Bonds plus the Ghost did so much damage in such short order that it didn't matter. Even with the Sunder, even with the Axe Call, even with everything they had, they still just crumbled to dust. Death Prophet ultimately dying for it. It looks like Terrorblade might get away.
That is
He's
filthy.
in trouble.
Doesn't see him. He's behind the tree.
Nope.
Radiant's top
They
tower is
barely
under
miss him.
attack.
2 ships pass the night, and Dark Willow gets tipped for her troubles.
That was legitimately filth. The way those ghosts and the Fatal Bonds interacted.
It sure was. That was, yeah, that was big for the Dire. That was really big. That was everything they had kind of coming together. A few miscommunications and mistimings there, and I think they would have gotten Terrorblade had that not taken place. But boy,
Radiant's
it's
top
just,
tower is under
it's like I
attack.
said, with Radiant, you have 5 individually better picks who are, you know, individually stronger, who are individually better at counting the other guys. But Dire definitely has the better overall, like, as a team composition. Axe finding himself Willow here, though. She's in a spot of trouble. Nope, she is just out of there once again. Oh, no, she is not. TP barely does not get her out of there. At the very last second, she gets taxed.
Nice.
Looked like it was taking a long time. I think she might have tried to TP to somewhere that had recently been TP'd to. Ah, Slardar's found Terrorblade in the jungle here.
Has indeed.
No, this is not Slardar. This is
Medusa,
Medusa. She just kind of looks Slardar-y with this set. I apologize. Medusa,
Yeah, hustling.
quite far into enemy territory here, but that's Slardar here backing her up. The weird little slug dudes have been doing a lot here. Death Prophet's showing up. She is hungry for it.
Oh no.
Big Golem, big Fatal Bonds. Everybody's just dead except for Viper, and he almost certainly does not have long on this world.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
really starting to come together in a big way for Dire. All these ults just coming together so well. You might have noticed in these fights, I'm not really calling individual ults anymore for the Dire because they're not coming out individually anymore. They're coming out in such a sequence. Everybody is dropping everything at once, and when they do that, boy howdy, it is a lot of pain in short order.
It really is. The Fatal Bonds are doing so much work.
Yeah, I have to give some props here to Comrade Chris, the Warlock, playing for Panic at the Discord. Yeah,
Not
Panic
at the
at the
Discord.
Rosh Pit. He is really playing a very major role in these fights, and he is doing a great job trying to keep everybody, both his team, just out of harm's way and keep the enemy in as much harm's way as possible. Looks like they're
We left
relieving the Aegis
Medusa.
for Medusa. Yeah. This has got to be a major morale bust for Radiant at this point. If I was on Radiant right now, I would not be a happy man.
Oh,
BS is
swapped
still
right in.
trying to go out here, but
Oh, they call.
Call gets everybody, absolutely everybody, except for Warlock on Dire. But unfortunately for Axe, the only thing they get out of it is Slardar, who at this point is just not the objective to go for. He's just not the guy that matters, unfortunately.
They almost got DP, but she got the Yules off.
It was a good Yules. It was a good call, to his credit. It was a very good call. Terrorblade also is trying to use his illusions, just blockade the lane, buy him as much time as possible to try and give them some room to defend here, let all their boys come back up. I think the play this time is that they're not going to do it perhaps the fatal mistake in the first game. They're not going to leave it all for one big fight to try and turn it around. They are actually going to try and make Panic at the Rosh Pit fight for every inch here, but unfortunately, even with all that, it still looks like nobody's really that willing to go in anymore. Certainly not without Axe around.
Right. Shoutouts to almost accidentally saying Panic at the Disco every time.
Radiant's middle tower.
Oh, wow.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
My favorite parody of Panic at the Disco. Yeah.
Shoutouts to my mic not being on during that sequence, so luckily you did not hear what I just said.
Oh,
It's
that's
okay.
good.
We weren't talking about anything important anyway.
Radiant's
How
top
long was
tower
that muted?
is under attack.
I believe that was muted right when we started talking about Panic at the Discord, so like
Oh,
I said,
okay.
I don't believe we missed much.
Well, it happens. Still getting into the flow of things here.
Right,
Our second cast.
yep,
Technically third, but the first one was practice.
right. So, apologies for that. Oh, another big call for
my
Axe. Gets
God.
3 of 5. Golem comes down to stop it, though. DP just melts in the wake of everything. So does VS, who swaps in, I believe, to save Axe there. Medusa kills 3, though. Just on casually doing damage off the sides. Axe buys back, calls just Medusa alone, drops everything on her,
Aegis
gets
pop.
the Aegis. She might be dead
She's
again.
in a bad spot.
Yeah, she's got nothing to say here, nothing to do here. Axe gets another call. Everybody's dropping everything they can on her. It's taken so long to kill her, but they ultimately get her down.
Yep. And they get it on the right guy.
Yep. Terrorblade picks himself up 702 gold casually for a wicked 6 streak. He also picked up another kill in that fight. He is he's a made man now. He is back in control of his finances, and he's got some lofty ambitions lined up in his quick buy.
A little of a butterfly here.
Also finds himself a mind breaker, which is a
Pretty good.
particularly notable item. Slardar is trying as hard as possible just to limit the amount of damage that these Terrorblade illusions are able to do to his towers. I mean, there's backdoor up, so won't be for long. Terrorblade is definitely just on that rat strat here. Playing
Constantly messing with the equilibrium.
yeah, he's playing Alliance here. It's weird that it's a very interesting sort of thing to note. Terrorblade himself, like the hero Terrorblade, it's not really ratting. He's not really pushing the side lanes out or anything. He's just sending the illusions to do it while he stays and tries to make the most of like the main fights and the main pushes.
Farming, yeah. It's good usage of them.
Looking for wards up here. Dire's taking a powder after that last fight.
He was
They're,
pushing all 3 lanes simultaneously there for a few seconds.
Dire's taking a major powder after that last fight, but looks like they've got their confidence back. They think they've farmed up enough to make another go at it. First things first is take out this little outpost here. Tall balls wants
Full
everybody
retreat for
to get
2 puck.
back.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Panic is just casually doing their jungle. Poor Tupac at this point is reduced to fighting in their own T3s basically. The only person who can even vaguely venture out at this point is Terrorblade, and they really can't do anything if he's not personally there for them. And looks like history is repeating itself here, with Panic once again trying to basically just call Terrorblade out, just try to make sure he comes and fights. And once again, they don't get the full kill this time. Shaman does get away, but he is going to have to wait a little while. But this time, history has changed. You know, it's like I said, it is a butterfly effect. Terrorblade does come back in, and as a result, Dire's having to change strats. Dire's having to say, okay, he actually showed what we're gonna do about this.
Right.
Oh, Medusa. Oh no, Medusa's in a lot of trouble here, but we get a big fear, we get a big call in response, so Medusa ults, gets Viper and Shadow Shaman directly. It's also been beating the hell out of Axe with split shots there, not even really looking at him. DP's getting these ghosts off. Ghosts are doing a billion damage to everybody except for the one man they really need to be dealing billion damage to, because Terrorblade is still at more or less full health. He has Sunder up as well, so he's gonna have like 2 lives here, but oh no, the silence, but it doesn't matter. The T4 towers are able to knock down Death Prophet. Oh no, the last second stun on Terrorblade made absolute sure he couldn't actually Sunder.
Buyback, it's just him.
Very well timed.
Terrorblade versus the world.
Terrorblade versus the world, and Terrorblade is not going to come out here. Once again, Radiant has lost to Rax. I believe we've literally actually seen, aside from a few additional towers that the Radiant has captured, I believe we've actually seen so far the exact same breakdown of buildings. I think the exact same order of destruction here. It's very interesting. You know, Panic did not come in with the same strategy as last time. They did not come in with the same sort of idea of trying to go with the all pressure all the time approach, but yet still the actual flow of the game ended up going very similarly for them. But I feel like now they're going to just have to back out, or at least get ready for a fight. Oh, poor Axe gets a pretty good call in here, but Medusa's not letting anything come of it. And
they're all coming out here.
Big organized retreat on the part of on the Dire. Dark Willow goes down, but it takes so much time of theirs getting out that she basically ends up letting everybody else go. But you do have Warlock here. Warlock is just in jail, but he's got a lot of tools. Once again, wasting a load of the Radiant's time to try and kill him here. And a Viper ult, which, again, seems a little unnecessary, but you know, they did kill him in the end, so they got what they wanted out of it at least. It was a decent organized retreat. I do feel like the fall of Warlock there was probably just a little bit of underestimating how fast Radiant were going to be able to chase them down. You know, just was not in the best position. Once again, Dire sort of taking a powder here, just backing off to try and get themselves something to, you know, just a little something to make the next push special. Hard to argue when it was so successful last time. Walking into Medusa here, though. Medusa, they don't want her.
Not do much to her. It's just the 2 supports. The only person kind of nearby is Viper.
I'd say the 2 supports and Viper would be more than enough, though. Although they didn't direct her alone. Now, Oh no, this Shaman just got absolutely annihilated. The Medusa ability to fire out those snakes is getting her. We got a Viper strike out. Everything's going down on Death Prophet. But Medusa is just slaughtering people with those split shots. Slaughter going almost toe-to-toe with Terribly in the background. He's dead!
That, yep.
He died before the golem even went down. Jeez. Terrorblade was forced to fight at the worst possible time here. He had disassembled his Mask of Madness and actually finished his Eagle Song, and he was going to buy it when it all went wrong for him. That was, I will say this much: it was a very big stroke of fortune for the Dire. It's not to say luck won them the game, but that sure helped. It sure didn't hurt them there.
Right.
And we have another GG called, and that is once again the ball game. So that's 2-0 in favor of Panic at the Rosh Pit. Two very interesting games. Less in being fascinating examples of Dota experience, because to be frank, they weren't. They're two very regular games, but the big interest here was just how different yet how similar the two worlds kind of ended up being when it was all said and done. As stated, Panic at the Rosh Pit, they came in this time with a completely different approach to this. They came in this time with the idea of going long. They came in this time with the idea of taking less of these crazy fights and more just being opportunistic, going back, taking a powder, coming in, going out, so on and so forth.
Yep.
And as a result of that, they came in with a very different lineup, with a very different point, a very different strategy. Whereas Radiant came in sort of countering, though the problem is they ended up sort of in counterplay to the original strategy. They didn't find it quite so much here. They initially tried adopting what worked well against them, but found that, unfortunately, Panic knew the weaknesses of their own strategies, and as predicted, Death Prophet was a major hindrance to them.
I
Certainly,
think the combo of Death Prophet, Warlock, Medusa is very dangerous. I don't think there's much you can even do about that. You just vanish from the map.
right, and it certainly doesn't help that in the middle of that you also have Dark Willow, who's just keeping everybody bound up. Slaughter is easily the odd man out there, but even Slaughter still has the ability to point at one guy and say, this is the guy who dies. You know,
Yep.
if your armor broke in the middle of all that, you're just going to be taking insane amounts of damage. So, there was a major luck factor involved in this. If that fight hadn't happened before Terrorblade finished his butterfly, I feel like there's a very good chance Radiant would have at least been able to turn Dire around, just force him back, and buy themselves some time, though I do think they were playing at a disadvantage after a certain point. They were playing at a disadvantage because...
Medusa looked very unkillable for a while there.
Right. She looked very unkillable. She did die. She did have a death at what was nominally her height, but she was mortal. She was always mortal, but she was not very mortal, to be frank. Had everything come down a little better for Radiant, I think that probably would have bottomed time, though it's hard to say it would have turned it around for them. I think the big factors here were the Panic at the Rosh Pit had with all said and done, I think they had a better lineup. With what their game plan was, their second lineup worked a lot better for them than what the game plan was with Tupac, right? You know, Tupac's game plan started out just counter what they did last time, and it turned into basically try to do what they did last time, but their comp for that just wasn't quite as good. And he had a lot of good individual plays. You know, VS's KDA is kind of misleading. There are a lot of really good swaps in that lineup, you know, but they just didn't have the perfect comp for either strategy. They just kind of had a comp that was okay at doing two things, and they just could not deal with the really strong unit that was that Panic at the Rosh Pit lineup.
Right.
I think the biggest issue here is that Panic threw them a complete curveball, and Tupac wasn't ready for it. Though, one has to wonder if Panic at the Rosh Pit's future enemies are going to be watching this game, because
Potentially.
I feel like that's a trick that kind of works one time, and now that everybody knows that you're going to be that you've got these scripts, and maybe they have more. It's hard to say because we've only just seen 2 games, but you've seen these 2 scripts that though they work very well, are also very forecasted. It does kind of mean, if you're playing Panic at the Roach Pit in the next series, and you see these lineups, I think you're going to be able to bring some counterplay here. I think Tupac just had the ill fortune here of just being the guys that
Being
Panic
the
hit.
first.
Right.
Yeah.
They had a lot here in Surprise. They had a lot riding on Surprise, and it'll be interesting to see in the future if the surprise factor keeps in their pocket, or if some more people start calling them out. And it'll be definitely interesting to see potentially in the future if Panic at the Roach Pit are going to be able to scrap down from the bottom, because they're going to have games where this doesn't happen for them. They're going to have games where they're going to be on the back foot coming back for more than just like a 2 to 5 minute period like they were in this game. Be interesting to see if they can carry all that offensive momentum into that, because I think Panic has the best offensive momentum of the teams we've seen so far. Of the teams when it comes to just hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting and
Right.
hitting, just keeping it up, cult to the offensive, cult to the offensive. When it comes to that, I think Panic so far are really sort of unmatched. So it'll be interesting to see if they go on the defensive, what that's going to be like. That's most of what I can say about this. It's going to be a lot more interesting to see how people react to Panic in future games. As far
Yeah.
as Puck, I feel like Puck didn't have any luck, really. I do think they got outdrafted in both games. I do think the Panic drafts in both games were a little stronger. And though they were good at fighting on the defensive and fighting for comebacks, and they were certainly good at prioritizing getting Decode their captain in pause one what he needed to keep going in both games, and in both games he was really their linchpin, and playing like it. Everybody was playing like it. They were very good at what they did, but what they did was just not what they needed to do to win here today. What do you think?
Right. I like Decode. If he got a good start, I could see him being scary. He just didn't. He got an okay start in this game, but it didn't really pan out as well as it could have.
I will say I do think Decode had one major sort of flaw in his strategy. I do think the decision in lane phase to abandon and just start jungling, I actually think that did him more harm than good here.
Right.
I think ironically, had he just continued to be a presence, had he stopped the Dire from getting at least one of their objectives as early as they did, that they would find just a lot easier of a game ahead of them. Because that was one of the bigger factors that was at play here, is that Dire was just so good at taking objectives that it's like when you want to farm, your actual place, like your actual safe space to farm, is so much lower. You get so much free space with that tier 1 tower still there. It's such a
Yeah.
great target to teleport to try and get
Jungle's
bailed
a
out.
lot safer.
Right. So, even though he probably got better GPM by ducking into the jungle, I think the opportunity cost that he would have put on Panic at the Rosh Pit of just keeping him on the map, plus the potential, if somebody would come and help him with it, the potential of getting some more early kills, that was definitely, I think, a better sort of trade-off for him than that. Besides that, and I can definitely understand why he did it, because like I said, it definitely got him a higher GPM. And if you really think about it, with the way Tupac's strategy tends to be, that is a very major factor for them. So I understand why he'd made that decision. But I do think him just trying to stick around and be more of an opportunity cost for the enemy would have probably been just a bit better of a way to go about it. What's your thoughts on that?
Potentially. Yeah, I think. I mean, the Slaughter Willow lane didn't get that much out of the free space they were given aside from the
Got
quite
the
early
tower.
tier 2 push. Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. They got the tower out of it, and they were able to just go away and do more interesting things. Dark Willow spilled a
Yeah.
lot in lane, but she did help turn around some of the early fights that they were having in other places.
Definitely a more competitive game than game one was. You could see a viable chance more.
Right. Tupac didn't curl up and die. They did actually, to their credit, they did come out here. They did fight back. I do just think they kind of got a little bit outclassed, which is
Yeah,
no harm on them. You know,
it happens.
it's I think when I say they got outclassed, I think that's really more to the credit of Panic at the Rosh Pit. So shout out to Boss. I believe Boss actually is streaming right now.
Oh
Shout out to
wow.
Boss and shout out to Boss's crew because you showed yourselves pretty strong here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if getting 0 and 2 in the group stage actually eliminates you from the bracket, or if you just get like a lower
No.
spot on it. Does it not? Okay.
I know there's 8 teams in playoffs, so 6 teams will be eliminated by the end of it by the standings, I assume.
Right. If Tupac survives, it'll be interesting to see. Just in contrast to Panic, it'll be interesting to see what a Tupac offensive looks like. It'll be interesting to see if
Yeah.
they get,
What
because
do they
this is
do
a good group.
when they have a good start?
Right. That's pretty much it. There's just two games that were pretty much just determined by not the starts necessarily, because this game wasn't really determined by the start. This game was just kind of determined by sort of the team fights that started when Medusa popped out of the jungle, and they just started having less and less of an ability to deal with the cumulative of it, especially the Fatal Bonds plus Ghosts plus Statue combo. So
Yep.
that's that. Just sort of an open shut game. Um, so with that being said, if you or anybody you know would like to join this league to either learn how to play Dota or try to get trained for it on the more competitive level, go to ld2l.gg for signups. I believe you can still get in as a stand-in. I believe stand-ins are always wanted. Or you could wait to try and get into Season 13, which should only be in a couple of months, if maybe just like a month, if the existing schedules are anything to go by. And with that being said, with this set, I am Anani. This is Randy. Say goodbye, Randy.
Goodbye.
And next time, I'll have the option that keeps sound going when you're tabbed out turned on.
Yeah.